was willing to do. You tip your hat to him for saying, I'll go to 68-75. What I'm saying is Canelo.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
You shouldn't want it no other way.
I agree.
And what I've said his whole career, man, this is a guy that has a lot of skill and ability, but you won't know how great he is because when it's time to take big risks, there's always an advantage. There's always a way because of his star power where you can pick and choose, decide how, when, where. That's cool to a point. But when you talk about legacy, man, you got to get it the same way you went after it. You should. It's not about B-ball agreeing or not agreeing. It's about what do you agree to, Canelo? Do you want it at 65 or 78?
You'd be a little unfair.
I don't think so. Yeah. We have been at the same depth.
He took a risk.
Listen, we've been at the same depth going in on guys that we probably should have been going in at sometimes. We don't keep the same standard with everybody.
If I agree. He went up to 75. He took a risk to go up to 75. He got beat.
I want to see my dog is saying.
It's Canelo now. He passed it.
I keep it. That's cool. Get the laugh out of the way. I keep the same energy. I'm not afraid to speak truth to power, bro. I'm not. I'm the same guy that's at the same desk saying, hold on, I think we're going too far with this one or that one. Listen, we've been at this desk going in on certain guys because it was popular or convenient, or maybe that's what everybody was saying, so it made sense. This may not be the popular opinion, but I feel it's the right decision. The same energy we keep for the Terrence Crawfords and everybody else down the line, the Errol Spence's about make the fight or else or you're running. Those are respected champions. Them dudes going in the Hall of Fame.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, you just heard Olympic gold medalist, undefeated, retired, legendary, iconic Hall of Fame superstar boxer, Andre S.O.G. Ward. Andre S.O.G. Ward, as you heard him, he absolutely goes in on the double standards within the sport of boxing, and that the fact that, everybody's not held to the same standards, okay? Andre Ward retired 32 wins, no losses, no draws, 16 wins by way of knockout. Okay, he's a 2-division world champion. He's an Olympic gold medalist. Okay, Andre Ward, he fought the best. He won the Super 6 tournament. He went up and beat Bad Chad Dawson. Then he beat Sergey Crusher Kovalev. So he beat the best in and around his division at the time. That anybody who was willing to give him the opportunity, he could mix it up with. Andre Ward, he did so, right? And so he goes in on the fact that everybody's given 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, who currently is the undisputed super middleweight world champion, widely considered by many to be the face of the sport of boxing, okay? Saul Canelo Alvarez is a superstar boxer in the sport of boxing. 58 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout. He is 5'8" with a 70-inch arm reach at 32 years of age. Canelo Alvarez, he is a 4-division champion, 154, 160, 168, 175. When he became a light heavyweight world champion, these are divisions that Andre Ward has campaigned in. Andre Ward campaigned at 168. He campaigned at 175. He won world champion. He was the best in both divisions when he campaigned in. And Canelo Alvarez, right, was the best 54-pounder. He, at the time when he was at 54, the top 3 54-pounders was Erislandy Lara, Canelo Alvarez, and Austin Trout. He beat both Erislandy Lara and Austin Trout. Now, there was controversy surrounding both those fights, but he got the victory, and he did fight both of those guys. Then you had guys come up behind those guys, such as Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, Jamel Charlo, even. They all campaigned at the same time, but Canelo Alvarez at that point started exiting the division. Now, he definitely could have fought Demetrius Andrade, Jamel Charlo, but he decided to move up. Okay, he became a 160-pound champion, right? And then he beat the best 160-pounder in the world in Gennady Triple G Golovkin. He beat him. He faced him the first time. It was a draw. Then the second time, he beat him a majority decision, okay? And then Canelo Alvarez, he jumped up. He unified against Danny Jacobs in the division. Okay, so he beat the 2 best 160-pounders in the world, which was Danny Jacobs and Gennady Golovkin. Then he moved up to 68, right? And then, this is where it started to get real sketchy, right? Because he fought Avni Yildirim, Caleb Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, right? Now, he can't help who was the champion, but when two-time WBC super middleweight world champion, Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer David Benavidez was the WBC champion, he wasn't too interested or eager to fight David Benavidez, right? But he did fight Caleb Plant, there was two 168 pounders that was the best. It was Caleb Plant and David Benavidez. He ended up fighting Caleb Plant for Undisputed back in November of 2021, okay? But he didn't fight David Benavidez, right? And it's ironic because Canelo Alvarez recently just picked David Benavidez to beat Caleb Plant, which lets you know that he believes that Caleb Plant is not the better fighter, right? That David Benavidez is the more superior fighter. Then he tested the waters. Now, keep in mind, back in November of 2019, he jumped up to 175 after he beat Danny Jacobs in May of 2019 to unify the belts at 160, 160, excuse me. He then jumped up to 175, okay? He went up to 175. He challenged Sergey Kovalev. Many people thought that it was a mistake, that he was, out his league. He was going testing the borders too far. He beat Sergey Kovalev, 11th round TKO victory, knockout victory. Now, Sergey Kovalev was winning that fight just off a jab alone, okay? But he ended up getting the stoppage over Sergey Kovalev, who was coming off a hard-fought fight. Nonetheless, he got the victory. And Sergey Kovalev was looked at as the least of the best champions at that time at light heavyweight at 175. And I can't knock Canelo Alvarez for fighting Sergey Kovalev, getting acclimated, the least of the champions at 175. But the problem is he didn't look to, unify against the Dimitri Bivol, who was looked at as arguably the best 175-pounder, or Artur Beterbiev, who was the unified 175-pounder. So Artur Beterbiev at the time was the IBF and the WBC light heavyweight champion. Dimitri Bivol was the WBA, and Sergey Kovalev was the WBO. So he went the route of fighting Sergey Kovalev, the man that was viewed as the least of the best of the champions, right, at that time, okay? And he beat Sergey Kovalev, but it wasn't an easy fight. It wasn't an easy victory, but he got the nod. He got the victory, right? And then he goes on to go back down to 168, okay? So he already was a champion, okay, when he beat Sergey Kovalev back in 2019. He goes back down. He fights Callum Smith. He fights Avni Yildirim. Now, he fights Callum Smith for a unification bout because at that time, that's when many people felt like there was, he saw an opportunity, right? That's what Andre Ward is talking about, right? That Canelo Alvarez sees opportunities and he takes the best opportunities because David Benavidez was stripped of his title for missing weight on the scale. And Canelo Alvarez petitioned to fight Avni Yildirim for that WBC vacant belt at 168. But Golden Boy didn't want to allow it. The Zone didn't want to have it. And so he ended up having to fight Callum Smith, who was the WBA super middleweight world champion, right? And he fights Callum Smith for the WBA super middleweight champion and the WBC vacant belt. He beats Callum Smith. He then goes on, that was in December of 2020. Then in 2021, February, 3 months later, he fights Avni Yildirim, who was his sparring partner, in a tune-up type fight. Then in May of 2021, he fights Billy Joe Saunders in a unification bout. Billy Joe Saunders held the WBO, picks up the WBO title, right, in May. And then in November, he fights Caleb Plant. He was trying to fight Caleb Plant in September, Mexican Independence Day weekend, but the negotiations fell through. He ended up fighting Caleb Plant in November, okay, and becoming undisputed. Then he decided to go venture back up to 175, okay, and once again, look to fight what was being perceived as the least of the two champions now, because remember, Sergey Kovalev lost already now, right? Now he's looking to fight the least of the two champions in May of 2022, last year, okay, because now at this point, keep in mind, Artur Beterbiev unified the belts and he's the 3-belt world champion, okay? Artur Beterbiev is, right? He has the WBC, the WBO, and the IBF titles. He has 18 wins, no loss, no draw, 18 wins by way of knockout. Artur Beterbiev does, right? And so Canelo Alvarez, he looks to fight the smaller of the two, which people look at, well, because Dimitri Bivol is 6 feet tall with a 72-inch arm reach, but he has a very slender build. He's not as muscular and as thick of a fighter as Artur Beterbiev, okay? And he doesn't have the knockouts that Artur Beterbiev has, okay? Dimitri Bivol, he came into this fight okay, with 19 wins, no losses, no draw, 11 wins by way of knockout. And he, same age, but he's not considered, as big and not as big of a puncher as RlPS. So he takes on Dimitri Bivol, okay, who didn't look so hot, in his last couple of fights, right? And haven't fought the best opposition. He takes on Dimitri Bivol, and Dimitri Bivol outclasses him. Okay, Dimitri Bivol outclasses him, wins a unanimous decision. Okay, and then Canelo Alvarez, now we hear Canelo Alvarez goes on after that to fight Gennady Golovkin in the trilogy match. He beats Gennady Golovkin pretty handily. I thought he should have actually stopped Gennady Golovkin. That was September of 2022. Okay. So with that said, now they're talking about a rematch between Canelo Alvarez and Dimitri Bivol, and Dimitri Bivol is giving up his advantage, saying he'll come down now to 168 from 175 to take on Canelo Alvarez. And Andre Ward is saying he's not daring to be great because he's looking for the best way to have the best advantage, which is he's looking for the advantage over Dimitri Bivol, draining him down to 68 instead of fighting him at 75. You're already a champion at 175, okay? And you beat bigger guys at 168 than Dimitri Bivol. So you could beat him at 175. And Andre Ward is saying that we'll give, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford all types of problems and all types of backlash because they're not fighting each other and saying they're ducking each other. But we won't have the same energy for Canelo Alvarez not doing, fighting the best, and at their best, right? So he's saying that we're not saying that, Canelo Alvarez should be fighting Dimitri Bivol, okay, at 175, right? And he's 1,000% correct, Andre Ward, right? Canelo Alvarez gets a pass. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt that Canelo Alvarez is not held to the same standards, okay? Now, Canelo Alvarez, he did share the ring with some of the best, but there's no doubt he's not held to the same standards that everybody else is, right? He's not held to the same standards Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford is, right? Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford haven't fought, and the world has come to an end. Canelo Alvarez fights guys and has an advantage, and is celebrated, right? So listen to what Andre Ward had to say again.
It's not about what Bivol willing to do. You tip your hat to him for saying.
And he said it's not about what Bivol is willing to do, right? Because he's saying you tip your hat to Bivol for wanting to come down to 168 to challenge Canelo Alvarez. And I like the idea. If Bivol goes on and fight RlPS, who just beat Anthony Yarde, who's the mandatory challenger, he stopped Anthony Yarde. If Dimitri Bivol fights and beats RlPS and becomes undisputed light heavyweight champion, I'm all for him dropping down to 168 and challenging Canelo Alvarez. Okay, I'm all for that. Now, I know people are going to say, well, Chad Dawson, he came down from 175 to challenge Andre Ward. Andre Ward did it. The difference is Chad Dawson was calling out Andre Ward for a fight, saying Andre Ward was avoiding him. That's not the same thing right here with Dimitri Bivol, who Canelo Alvarez chose Bivol and went up to 75 and lost. He was calling out Bivol, went to 175 and lost. Now he wants to rematch him, saying he know he could beat him, but he wants to rematch him in his weight class. So you don't feel like you could beat him, right? So there's the difference. And so he's saying he's applauding Bivol for saying that. Now, if Bivol beats RlPS, become undisputed, drops down to 68 to challenge Canelo for undisputed, I love the idea. Be an undisputed two-division champion. If you're Dimitri Bivol, I love that idea, right? Because he's not the biggest 175-pounder in the world. So I think that, it's going to be difficult for him to get to 68, but I think that he can do it and still be successful against Canelo. But listen.
It's not about what Bivol's willing to do. You tip your hat to him for saying, I'll go to 68, 75. What I'm saying is Canelo.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
You shouldn't want it no other way.
I agree.
And what I've said his whole career.
Right. So he's saying if you Canelo, you shouldn't want it no other way. You shouldn't want to fight him at 168 and beat him. You shouldn't be satisfied with beating him at 68 because you ain't beat him at his best. You lost when he was at his best. So When he was at his best, you
When
lost.
it's time to take big risks, there's always an advantage. There's always a way because of the star power where you can pick and choose, decide how, when, where. That's cool to a point. But when you talk about legacy, man, you got to get it the same way you went after it. You should. It's not about beef all.
Now I don't understand that. He said you got to get it the same way you went after it. If he went after it in a big way, then you know what I mean. So I don't understand that.
Agreeing or not agreeing, it's about what do you agree to, Canelo? Do you want it at 65 or 78? The 10 people thing.
You'd be a little on.
Now you're gonna hear, what's the name come in, and now he goes, "Oh, we're being too hard on Canelo Alvarez." Of course we are.
I don't think so. Yeah. We have been at the same death.
He took a risk.
Listen, we've been at the same death going in on guys that we probably should have been going in at sometimes. We don't keep the same.
So he's saying we don't keep the same energy when it comes to everybody else.
He went up to 75. He took a risk to go up to 75. He got beat.
He already went to 175, and he already won at 175 and was a world champion at 175. So how is he taking a risk? He's already a world champion at 175. He went up there the second time and he lost, period, and got beat. Fair and square. It wasn't a weight. It wasn't daring to be great because he was already a champion there.
See, my dog is saying,
So you hear Tim Bradley saying Andre Ward is passionate about Canelo Alvarez. He's passionate about Canelo Alvarez, right? Essentially alluding to him being, not liking Canelo Alvarez.
I keep the same energy. I'm not afraid to speak truth to power, bro. I'm not. I'm the same.
So he said, I'm not afraid to speak truth to power, meaning that he's not afraid to challenge Canelo Alvarez.
It's at the same desk. Say, hold on, I think we're going too far with this one or that one. Listen, we've been at this desk going in on certain guys because it was popular or convenient, or maybe that's what.
That's a huge thing today's time, right? It's when it's convenient or popular, you go with the narrative, right? Of course, the fans they want you to go and run with, Terrence Crawford is avoiding Errol Spence, or Errol Spence avoiding Terrence Crawford, or Devin Haney's avoiding Gervonta Tank Davis, or Gervonta Tank Davis is avoiding whoever the most popular fighter is. That's where the mass majority of people want to go with. It's not easy to go against the grain.
Everybody was saying, so it made sense. This may not be the
So he says, so everybody's saying it, so it makes sense.
Popular opinion, but I feel it's the right decision. The same energy we keep for the Terrence Crawfords and everybody else down the line, the Errol Spence's about make the fight or else you're running. Those are respected champions. Them dudes going in the Hall of Fame. It's not about what.
Facts. So let me know what y'all think, man. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Do Andre Ward have a point? That's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.